Every year, the NBA gets its fair share of new NBA players through the NBA draft. Some of these players are average, great, or not good. We see a once-in-a-generational type player, guys who are labeled as can't-miss prospects, and make their NBA draft seem to start at the number 2 pick, due to them being on another level compared to everyone else in their class. These prospects have top-tier athleticism, top-tier length, and a top-tier skill set to convince scouts that they can be the needle mover for a struggling NBA franchise. So to keep the intro short and sweet in today's video, we're going to talk about the 7 best NBA draft prospects ever. Before getting started, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, StubHub. StubHub is the #1 website in the world to buy or sell tickets online to your favorite events, whether it be sports games, concerts, and so many more events. StubHub is an easy-to-use website where you can easily find great ticket prices for whatever you want to go to. So to support the channel, please check out the link in the pinned comment for more info. Also, check out the link in the pinned comment or description to find exclusive discounts on gear at the NBA store before they expire. It would mean so much to also help support the channel. If you have any video suggestions or requests, please drop a comment so I can put it on the list and create it. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe. It's by far the best way to support this channel and ensure you don't miss out on any great basketball content like this. Also, like the video and comment on what you think about each NBA prospect I talk about. With that being said, let's dive straight into the video. At number 7, I have Patrick Ewing. We all know Patrick Ewing for being one of the greatest centers of all time and a New York Knicks legend. But not many fans know about how big the hype was around Ewing when he entered the league. He was arguably one of the most sought after NBA draft prospects ever, and one of those can't miss prospects that was almost certain to be a star in the league from day one. Ewing played 4 years at Georgetown University, making him more polished than most big men back in the day. Patrick was a monster as a prospect, standing at 7 feet and 240 pounds. He was a defensive presence in the paint, and as mobile as some of the best bigs in the NBA today, which was unheard of in the 80s. Ewing also had some game offensively down low that was going to get more polished with time. In these clips, when you watch Ewing, you would think he's a player in today's generation due to how athletic he is compared to everyone else. The hype was so big that one of the biggest NBA conspiracies ever involved him in the draft. The rumor was that the NBA potentially rigged the 1985 NBA draft in order to give the New York Knicks, who were the biggest market in the NBA, the #1 pick to land a generational talent in Ewing. Ewing definitely lived up to the hype that was thrown at him in his pre-NBA years by solidifying himself as one of the best centers of all time and an NBA legend. So with that being said, the 7th best NBA draft prospect ever was Patrick Ewing. At number 6, I have Anthony Davis. Davis was one of the more recent generational talents and had arguably the best prototype of any NBA draft prospect ever. Standing at 6'10" with a 7'6" wingspan, he had elite athleticism and agility for his size. His defensive ability was seen to be unreal due to his instincts down low to block shots and contest shots, but also the ability to legitimately guard the perimeter. Offensively, Davis was the real deal, who despite his lack of strength at the time, had a very advanced post package, as well as a legit ability to handle the ball and grab rebounds. Davis spent most of his time during his high school years as a guard, being that he had a huge growth spurt from 6'3" to 6'10" in his junior year alone. So with that, he already had a lot of guard skills, like being able to pass, shoot, and dribble. Davis's IQ is also very intriguing, knowing how to properly move on defense and make the right passes, and pairing that up with his athleticism was a match made in heaven for scouts. Obviously, Davis was seen as a clear #1 pick, and was even considered as the best prospect in the past 4 drafts before him and after him. During Davis's time at Kentucky, not only did he show major flashes that all scouts saw from him, but he also produced big time at the college level against stronger players than him, to the point where he won a national championship in his lone season playing college basketball. Anthony Davis lived up to the hype, being one of the best players in the NBA despite not fulfilling his full potential due to injuries. He's been one of the best big men in the NBA when healthy. At number 5, I have Zion Williamson. From the moment Zion stepped foot onto the college hardwood, he was the real deal. Without even seeing him dribble a basketball, his measurables were insane. Standing at 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan and pushing an absolutely mind-blowing 280 pounds, he was a physical specimen, ready to dominate anyone in front of him, at any level, from his physical standpoint alone. When you add his insane quickness, jumping ability, and overall athleticism into the equation as well, he was definitely a one-of-one type prospect we've never seen before. William is also one of the strongest overall prospects we've seen in modern NBA history, and one of, if not the strongest pound-for-pound NBA prospect in history. But Zion not only shocked scouts with his gifts, but also on the floor. In his one season at Duke, where he averaged 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game off solid efficiencies, and led his Duke team to a run in the NCAA tournament. Zion also showed he had the ability to push the ball up the floor and handle it, despite not being the best ball handler or shooter on the floor. As the season went on and the days went by, Zion was more of a lock to go number 1 in the draft, and multiple NBA teams were taking hard for him. Overall, when you consider Zion's combination of size and athleticism, it's like nothing we've ever seen before, and due to that, on top of his production so far into his NBA career, that's why he's one of the best NBA draft prospects ever. At number 4, I have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now obviously it's hard to evaluate a prospect that was entering the NBA in the 60s, but when you consider his body of work while in high school and college, and his physical gifts, there's no question he's one of the top prospects ever. Obviously, with Kareem being 7'2" and having the scoring arsenal he had, he was way ahead of his time and seen as a unicorn before unicorns, but what made him so impressive and intriguing as a prospect besides his sheer talent were his accolades. In high school, Kareem won 3 state championships and topped that with 3 NCAA championships and 3 National Player of the Year awards while playing for UCLA. These accolades alone showed Kareem was a true winner, ready to contribute at the NBA level. On top of that, Kareem averaged an absurd 26 points and 16 rebounds a game over the course of his 3 years at UCLA. By the time he got into the NBA, he already solidified himself as the best player in the league and is known today as one of the best players to ever touch a basketball, with probably the best resume to go with it as well. Due to all these components, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the 4th best NBA draft prospect ever. At number 3, I have Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq is easily the most dominant player in NBA history, but that wasn't just the case in the NBA. Shaq was this dominant since college and his high school days, as you see in these clips. It's one thing to find a player who's 7'1" and 300 pounds, but it's another thing to find a player who plays with the aggressiveness, toughness, and ferociousness that Shaq does. Despite not having such a versatile game and a lack of skills with the basketball, in an era where dominant big men were as coveted as they were, Shaq fit the mold like a glove, and he asserted his dominance at every level he played at. At his size, he was also fast and quick enough to move up and down the floor and wasn't just a big body with no athleticism. O'Neal averaged 22 points and 14 rebounds a game, but the stats don't show justice to how good of a prospect he actually was while at LSU. In his last year of college basketball, Shaq also was seen as an elite shot blocker who led the nation in block shots, putting up an absurd 5 blocks a game. All of his dominance translated over to the NBA as he won 4 NBA championships throughout his career and stamped himself as a top 10 player to ever play the game of basketball and solidified himself as the most dominant NBA player in history. At number 2, I have LeBron James. LeBron is arguably the most hyped up NBA draft prospect of all time, with books, movies, documentaries, endless scouts, nationally televised high school games. He was the real deal. LeBron was seen as a near perfect prospect, standing at 6'8", 240 pounds. He had a complete package and extraordinary gifts. LeBron's athleticism at that age is unlike anything we've ever seen before, with his jumping ability, quickness, first step, and more. As a scorer, he was already better than some NBA players while still in high school, with an elite ability to get to the basket as well as pull up from NBA range like it was nothing. James's best skill, though, was easily his playmaking ability. He saw things that you couldn't see from up close and made the most ridiculous passes as a high schooler could make. And considering he had power forward size, doing that was unheard of. Going straight to the NBA from high school was a thing at the time, but in many cases, it didn't pan out. For LeBron James, though, it was certain not only he could make that move, but that was the only move he could do, and he would easily be one of the best players in the NBA from day one that could lead an NBA franchise to the promised land one day. To this day, I don't think we'll ever see another prospect in our lifetimes that can live up to the amount of hype that LeBron lived up to. And not only did he live up to that hype, but he exceeded that hype as well on a substantial level. He has countless records, all NBA teams, championships, and is the all-time leading scorer still counting. When considering all these traits, I think it's safe to say LeBron James is the greatest NBA draft prospect of all time. Well, I think there might be an exception to that statement though. At number 1, I have none other than Victor Wembanyama. Unless you've been sleeping under a rock for the past 8 months, I'm sure you're familiar with Wembanyama. We've seen and heard of transcendent talents like Kareem, then Shaq, then LeBron. But now, Victor is looking like he's next. When you talk about a guy who's 7'5" with guard skills like Victor, the only players you can think of are the ones that you build on NBA 2K. Offensively, Victor has nearly no weaknesses and can score on all 5 levels in a variety of different ways, both off the dribble and off the catch, on the perimeter, mid-range, finishing, high post, and low post. Defensively, Wembanyama is an even scarier presence who can block shots like Rudy Gobert and has a length to make it tough for any player to score in the paint. On top of this, he has the versatility to guard the perimeter consistently and can block shots there as well. It's one thing for a 7'5" player to be a shot maker, which alone is extremely rare, but his ball handling ability is as good as some guards, which is top tier, and he has it on the string with the ability to handle in tight spaces, which is unreal. Victor also has an extremely advanced basketball IQ and sees the floor better than most players he plays with and against, which also unlocks not only his full defensive capabilities, but his elite passing and playmaking abilities as well. From a skilled standpoint, Wembanyama is one of none, and might be the most skilled prospects ever. The only knock on Victor might be his strength, but that shouldn't be a big part of the problem, because there really hasn't been an NBA player who is limited by their strength, especially with Victor's playing style. Wembanyama just recently played with the French men's national team, where he showed his superstar potential, and that was one of many events where he asserted his dominance, like his game against projected number 2 pick Scoot Henderson in the G League Ignite. Overall, time will tell how Wemby translates over to the NBA, because we really don't know, and we've never seen a player like him before. But despite this, I still believe Victor Wembanyama is the greatest NBA draft prospect ever. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it to the end, please subscribe, and check out my other videos if you enjoyed this one. Make sure to check out my links in the pinned comment for StubHub and special deals on NBA gear up to 60% off. I'll see you guys in the next video and have a blessed day. Peace.